Hi, it's Brittany from Empurrium. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are sewing the Ugly Naked Guy Hobo bag from Sincerely Jen Patterns. So this is a fun one. We are changing it a tiny bit from the pattern. The pattern has a zipper that goes up here at the top, but we are doing, trying to move the strap, a recessed zipper. So that's the only thing I truly changed about the pattern. I do one step differently on this zipper, but other than that, the rest is the same. So I do have a cutting video for this. If you haven't watched it, I'll say what I did, but you can watch and see that too. These recessed zipper panels I cut 10 by 1.5 inches, and then I spliced the lining panel 1.25 inches down from the bottom of the curve at the top. So Jenny has a video where she does the recessed zipper, and then Lauren Mormino also has a live where she did it, and that's how I figured this out. So it's so cute. This Space Kitty vinyl is from my shop, the Empurrium, but I do just want to say this specific colorway is an exclusive, so I sell it on the regular background. So mine is a little bit more rainbow. This vinyl, can't remember what it's supposed to be called, but it is a shimmer vinyl that is releasing April 15th from Mormino. My lining is this really cute Star waterproof cotton from Mormino, and I do believe that is also an April 15th release. All of my hardware is from Mormino, and then this zipper tape is from Beauty and the Geek, and the zipper teeth glow in the dark, so I'm really excited. So like I said, I have a cutting video, and then this is the sewing video. I didn't do any extra prep off camera, so it's all in there. I think I explained a couple things that I normally don't, so if you need, you can skip through it. I just wanted to do this one as a fully explained tutorial, so I hope you enjoy it. If you haven't subscribed already, I would love if you did, and hope you have a great day. Let's go over the pieces first for the Ugly Naked Guy. Funny every time I say it. We have the exterior base. I did go ahead and fuse my Decaville Heavy. I have my 3 zipper pulls and my nameplate. I'm going to set those to the side. And then we have the back center pieces. Here is my handle. This piece is for my connectors. I have 4 side panels, and they are mirrored, so 2 and 2 mirrored. I have my upper and lower, front center pieces. So I'm going to keep all of those together. I've got my zipper for that front pocket. I have my 4 pieces for my recessed zipper panel, and if you didn't watch my cutting tutorial, these are 10 by 1.5 inches. I don't need these zipper pulls. I decided to go with the Star pop tab pulls. Here is my interior zipper, and then here's 2 of my zipper pocket linings. I'll need those for the front. Here's the 2 for the inside zipper. I have my 2 rectangle rings, and then I have my lining base, and I have my 2 lining panels that we cut 1.25 inches down from the lowest part of the center dip. So those are all the pieces. Pretty much this is, I'd say, a quick sew. So I'm just going to kind of put the pieces back how I think I'm going to sew. All right. The first thing I'm going to do is I want to do a decorative stitch on my base. So I'm going to stitch 1 inch in from the edge, which feels weird, but all good. So I'm going to leave my thread tails long so that I can pull them through to the back and knot them off. What? Oh, sorry. If you heard that noise, it was my clip bowl. Just kind of bumping into things. Just want to take your time when you're on the curve, because this is decorative, so we want it to look pretty. So I would say it's a little bit easier doing this for a bag that has like a square base, because you don't have to go around the curve. But I really liked when I did this on the last one I made. It looked so good. So doing it again. All right, I'm gonna knot that before I get back, so it's out of my way. And then we'll just do the same thing. Pull this one through. I think on the last one I did, I don't even think I fused the base. I think I might have just taped it on with some double-sided tape and then stitched. And the stitching held it in place, so there's that. But I think I was already using the heat press, and I was like, oh, I might as well fuse this one. All right, so then there is the base. I really love too, like the variegated thread. It's just so cute. Okay, I want to do my connectors now. So we're gonna take and mark 1 inch in on our 2-inch wide. And then we can go ahead and use some double-sided tape here. Oh, it's brand new. I forgot. It really smells brand new too. Like the tape, it's not so bad once it's like aired out and whatnot, but fresh tape, I forgot. I had to keep the drawer. Thought it was in open. I was like, whoo, yikes. Okay, so for the connector, we're just going to take that center line and fold both sides into it. And then we're going to want those to butt up to each other. We don't want to leave a gap for this one. Okay, and then we're going to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. Just down both sides. And then this one will get cut in half. And I'll go ahead now and put my rectangle rings on and just clip those and set them back in the bin. We'll use them in a little bit. Okay. For the handle, I'm not going to use tape. Sometimes I don't like stitching through it for a handle, but this one is 4 inches wide, so we're going to mark 2 inches in. And then the way I do this is I just use a lot of clips. But we're going to fold almost to that line. You just want like the tiniest gap. You can use tape. I know it looks like it takes me longer and I use a lot of clips, but I just really don't use tape on handles and straps. And I'll flip that, fold almost to that line again. And then fold them in together. And the little gap that you make by that line, it helps it fold together, because if you fold it all the way to the edge, it wouldn't want to fold as nice. Right, and then we're going to stitch all the way around on this one. Oh, also, I am at like a 4.5 for my stitch length. And I always stitch the side first. That is the open side of the fold. That way you can take the clips off and you can make sure everything is sitting nicely. I know some people that like leaving like this handle like this or crossbody straps and whatnot until the end. But then I know they'll finish a bag and they'll be like, oh, I just have to finish the handle, but I don't want to. But if you do it first, then when the bag is done, you just put it on and voila. You don't have to be like, oh, well, I still need to do this. So that's my tip. Okay, we'll trim our threads here and then hit that with a lighter. I really need to change out my lighter. And I like to just make sure that the ends of the handle are nice and even. I might have made that one worse. It's okay. And then we can put that into the bin, save it. We are going to start assembling our panels. So I've grabbed all of my center panels. And you want to make sure that they're laying the right way. Flip them right sides together and clip the inside seam, so the center. And then we're going to do that with all 3 sets of these. It dips in at the center. So that is the side. Also, sorry there's cat hair on everything, because this is the Empurrium. Sometimes I don't notice. Really, until I go to make a video and I'm like, oh, okay. Whoops. Alright, so we're going to stitch these together. And I like being able to do them like chain stitching them. And what we're going to do next is we're going to open these up, butterfly the seams, and top stitch down both sides. So you want to make sure as you're going that that seam is open. Same thing with all three. And the last one for the centers. When I do a top stitch like this, I like to line the outside toe of my presser foot in like the ditch, and it works pretty well. Okay, so I have my back, and then I have these two pieces for the front. Now I want to go ahead and put my nameplate on first. Probably put it probably right there is good. So just line this up and make a mark. Where did I say I was gonna put it? Here? Sure. I didn't really want to block the little moon. I thought it was really cute, but gotta do what you gotta do. You can put tape on if you'd like. Now we can do the zipper. So we need 2 lining pieces and one of our zippers. So go ahead, put the zipper on, or you can wait too. Maybe I'll wait this time. Sure. Okay, so you're gonna take the bottom, and I'm gonna make sure my zipper is nice and straight. You could use tape if you'd like. I will say the seam allowance for the zipper on this is 3/8, but I struggle with 3/8 for zippers. So I'm going to do 1/4, and then what I'll have to do is I'll just have to trim a little off the bottom. So we have right side up for the exterior, zippers right side down, and then we're going to take a lining piece and put that right side down also. So we have our little zipper sandwich here. And that should line up with everything. And then we'll, whoops, stitch that. And on this one, we're going to press the seams open and put them wrong sides together. And you can kind of clip to help hold that in place. And then we're going to top stitch. Now I'm going to do this next step slightly different from the pattern. In the pattern, you'll put this panel right sides together with the zipper, and then you will put the lining on. But when you top stitch, you would fold them both out just the way we did that, and then you have to fold this back down. But I'll show you what I'm doing, and I think it works a little bit better. But we're going to put these together, and I'm just making sure that I am lining that seam up. I might need to adjust. Nope, looks like it's good. Okay. I just want to make sure that it lines up everywhere else too. Okay, then your lining. You can always baste your zipper to your exterior first if you want to do that before you add the lining. I like just doing mine all at once. Okay, so this right here, the lining panels are already together. So if you just fold the top up and top stitch, you won't have to fold the lining back down. Okay. Now we're going to want to stitch together the bottom of these lining pieces. So I'm clipping them together, and then I'm just going to stitch these together. And we'll take care of the sides in a second. And then you're going to want to trim the seam allowance here. Okay, so we're going to make sure we put our zipper pull on now. And this tooth is up higher on this side, so I'm going to make sure that's in first. Got it. We can leave that in the center there. Okay, now we have the front center and the back center. We need to make our side panels. So we have the mirrored And this time we're going to take the higher part, we're going to put those together, and they have a little curve here. So it is a little different than just doing those straight pieces. Oh, yikes. But clip those together. Same thing, we're doing the side that goes higher up. Alright, and then we're going to stitch those, and then we'll open them and butterfly the seams and top stitch just like we did those center panels. Okay. And then because there's that curve down here, it is going to be a little bit different feeling when you top stitch that, but you'll just take your time and make sure that seam is open and flat. Okay, so there's one. It's really not bad. It just, you have to hold it and like take your time, but truly not bad. Okay, and then we'll start the other side. Okay, now we just finish assembly for the exterior. We'll take and add now. So this is the bottom, and then up here is the top. I'm just going to overlap or extend, whatever the word may be, this connector about 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to baste it on. And I'm going to put a rivet in mine at the end. Just make sure it's on there straight. Okay, and then same thing here. Okay. Yeah, so I'll rivet here at the end, and then I'll kind of match the rivet that I'll put into the handle. But now we need to attach these side panels to the center panels. And I'm going to line the tops up first. So start right here and clip. And the reason I'm starting at the top is because my bottom isn't going to match up because of my seam allowance that I used on the zipper. But I'm okay with that. I will just trim it down. And also, I am making sure that I have the lining of the zipper pocket in the seam. That way that will make sure it lays flat and is stitched closed. When you're on the zipper, you can put a little back stitch in there. And then when we fold this open, we're not butterflying it. We are going to top stitch it on the side panel. I'm gonna trim my zipper down on each side. Okay, so we'll fold the seam allowance, or I'm sorry, we'll fold the side panel, leaving the seam allowance on the side of the side panel and top stitching through all of that. And then I'm going to go on the other side and do the same thing. So lining up to the top first. And I'm making sure I hold the lining. So it is going to be in the clips and will be sewn, and it is flat. I might need to fix my seam just a tiny bit here. So there we go. And I didn't backstitch because I already stitched. That is just a little extra. Okay. So again, fold that to the side panel and top stitch on the side panel through the seam allowance. It's looking really cute. Oh my gosh. All right, so you can see here, this is what I'll have to trim off. So I could go ahead and do that right now. You could draw a line. I am eyeballing it because I can tell like how much needed cut off. So perfect. That is how you change that if you need to for the zipper seam allowance. Okay, we're gonna do the same things to the back. The very final one is a little bit harder to do than the others, just because you are going to have a tube to be top stitching in, but just take your time, go slow, maneuver it, you're good. Neat. Maybe I'll do one of my may contain cat hair tags for this one. Okay, so we need the seam allowance to fold in to the side panel because that is where we're top stitching. I'm just kind of feeling that as I go. One more seam here on the main exterior pieces. So this part isn't bad, but it's when we go to top stitch this one. A little bit difficult. Hi, Donut. Donut just brought a mini squish. Hi, bud. Good job. I wish that I could have a camera on him all the time. Aw, hi, bud. Like, everyone's just like, oh, she's talking to herself. Okay, so I'm going to fold this, and then I'll kind of just, like, get this out of my way as much as I can as I go. Might seem a little bit impossible. But you just have to take your time, truly. And then you can kind of, however you need to place things so that you can see. And I know, like, there's no good camera angle to show this, but I'm like leaning back and kind of leaning down to look into this little hole I have right here to see. Just make sure you don't sew yourself. Okay. And then you just have to slide it out up there. Perfect. Okay, so these are your side seams. And then you already have your centers marked too. I did not mark my base. I should have. And I already put the templates away, or I would just go from there. But I'm trying not to fold my Decaville Heavy, just the like outside vinyl on the edge here. I mean, it's gonna get a little bit folded when we go to turn the bag, so do your best. But you can definitely mark off the pattern pieces when you start. I just always forget to. Not a problem. Maybe I should mark the lining base right now. I feel like that would be smart. But I'm gonna do it this way. Maybe. It's just fabric. And at least with the lining, you can fold it. Excuse me. Okay. So now we need to take and put this base inside of the exterior that we have sewn so far. And you're going to match up your center points. So I'm matching that with that seam, matching this mark with this seam, and then matching this mark with this seam. Curved base bags can be a little intimidating, but I do find that your Decaville in here helps you, because that is going to sit like flat and everything else is just going to bend around it. And then you can kind of use that also as a guide for where you're stitching. And I feel like that helps a lot too. But you're just going to clip together these more straight edges first, lining that all up as much as you can. And you're not clipping anything, like snipping. Okay, and then here on the sides, you're just gonna kind of adjust it as best you can. Man, I squeezed it too hard, way too hard. Something you can definitely do is use staples. Staples help so much when you are sewing curves and like bases on bags and gussets. Now you can kind of see that this looks wrinkly here. Yes, it is, but as long as where you are stitching is all flat, it really doesn't matter what this is doing. And you can kind of just like bend and stretch this to make it fit. So like when you flatten that, it looks, but obviously when you pull in like this, and I always stitch in here. But like I said, staples really help here. So I'm gonna place a couple, and however many you want to place is up to you. But also do them on the edge so that they are out of your seam allowance. That's going to help keep things from shifting on you. And don't be afraid to add them in the straight side sections too, or front, back, whatever you want to call it. Because all it's going to do is help. Like, it's not going to hurt you. And if anyone says, like, you don't need them, if it's making it better, if it's working for you, that's what's important. So you do what works for you. All right. We are going to start. I like starting in one of these straight sections here. But take your time. A stiletto is great for these. It helps. You can like hold everything together, keep your finger all the way, but you're going to kind of just like curve the whole bag with you as you go. And you might need to lift the presser foot and adjust. The main thing is you want to keep your curve nice and also make sure that you're not making any pleats. So if you need to hand crank, but you can have your needle down and lift your presser foot and like slide the bag around. And your first curved bottom bag might not look amazing. Remember, like, it's something you have to practice. I would say too, it's probably the hardest part of this bag, honestly. I think too, stitching like from this side instead of the other, well, one, you can see like where your decaville is and that helps you, but I think it also makes it so the outside stretches nicer and you don't get those pleats. Oh, I think it's good. Okay, so you can see, oh man, I got a pleat. So this is where you decide, like, do you want to fix that? And I'm going to. Ah, dang. The rest of it looked really good, so it's okay. But you can fix this. All right, so I need to take a couple of stitches out and adjust. And something I could do is I could stitch it this way to make sure that that spot isn't going to pleat. I'm going to go back a little bit. And then I'm kind of just taking this like one stitch at a time. Until I get to where my other stitches were. And then I'm going to back stitch. Okay, so easy fix. See, now there's no pleat because I could see it in there and I was like, oh no, the rest looked so good. Okay, so we need to take the staples out. Don't leave them in. And you can go ahead and trim down your seam allowance. I don't like trimming all of the spots that I have all of my stitches together. So I'll just trim as much as I can. I'm just sending this stuff flying everywhere. If you want, you can take and get a look. You can flip it. I'm going to go ahead and just set it to the side for right now. And then we are ready to work on the lining. I'll put the handle in the exterior. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our recessed zipper first, which is pretty quick. Okay, what I like to do is mark an inch in on all of these ends. So this is the short end of each side. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and take some tape. You could use 1/4 or 1/2 inch. I've been using 1/4, but put that close to the line. Donut's back with another squishmallow. Good job, bud. He brought it all the way to me. Oh, good job. This is what he brought me. Usually he drops it like right where I can't reach while I'm sitting and sewing. Okay, so you'll take the backing off of the tape and fold to the line. So doing that for all of this. And then on the longer zipper we have, I'm going to mark 5/8 of an inch on each side. And then I'm going to fold and pop those like that. And then I will hopefully melt these together without burning myself. And you get a nice little zipper there. And then you can just pull the tape apart here if you don't want to use scissors. And check and see if you have a direction you want your zipper to be. So looks like mine is this. So if I have the zipper here in the center, I'll go ahead and fold down here. I like to line my zipper teeth right up with where that seam is. Go ahead and use tape here if you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and just make my zipper sandwich. And this part's not in the pattern because the zipper is different. I'm sewing this at 1/4 of an inch. And then opening this up. And I like to clip this together now. And you want to give a tug here. All right, I like to stitch, oh, there he is. Hi, Donut. I like to stitch the side first. Well, hello, bud. I'm gonna help pivot. You do get some bulk right here, so be mindful. Sometimes I'll hand crank a couple of the stitches in that corner. Same thing with this one. There are a couple ways you can reduce some of the bulk in that seam. You're really helping, huh? Shannon from Knotted Threads Co. has lots of bulk reduction techniques if you want to check her patterns out too. Okay, so we have this direction. We'll fold that down. And I like to take and line up this side here. And clip and then see how the end looks. Because it should line up the same way. Okay, so this looks like it might go... Oh, no. Okay, we're good. Donut's like, I'm here. Then zipper sandwich. Then are you a helper? And again, stitching that 1/4 of an inch. Oh, donut. All right, and then also folding this open. Looks like that didn't line up the greatest. It happens. Oh no, but you trying to ruin the zipper tape? Okay. I think that it's easier sewing the second side too because you already have the zipper sewn on the other side. Donut. Okay, we've got our recessed zipper done. So cute. Really cute. What I'm going to do is on this end, I'm going to mark which side the teeth are at the top. So I know where my zipper pull goes on at the end. Because I'm going to take them apart. But I'm going to mark my center. Just a tiny little notch. Gonna do that on both of those. And then we'll go ahead and do the interior zipper before we finish everything else. So here's the thing about this zipper pocket. Since we cut some height down, this is kind of what we're working with. Because you have your seam allowance down here, and then you've got that up there. So we'll go here and we'll put it down a little bit. So I'm gonna take this ruler and I'm gonna go like right here, and I'm going to mark my box. And then, so this will put the zipper down, I think, at a reasonable point. And then this will get folded up anyways. I think we're good. I'm just going to stitch down each side. Back stitching, I'm not going to do the full box. Okay, and then you're going to want to open this up so you can start with the seam ripper in the center there. And then I'll switch to some real sharp scissors. And you're going to go and cut to those points we made. Making this B. Okay. Go ahead and flip this and press your seams. I just like to place some clips to help this set nice as I prep it. Okay, for the corners, if you kind of just give it a little tug, place a couple clips. Okay, now we've got our last zipper, and we are going to want to put our zipper pull on. This style of zipper pocket, if you want to use tape, you can, to help hold the zipper in place. It never really works out great for me. So right, I'm going to get that pull on, and then we will be making sure this is lined up. And sometimes I'll just take and kind of like clip the zipper here so it's in place. And then I'll be starting, so if the zipper pull's here, I'm going to stitch around here. And then once I get to like here, I can move the zipper pull and finish. And then I never have to stitch like into the zipper pull. So I will take some of these clips out here and line up my lining fabric onto or with the zipper and start my stitches. And then I'm just going to adjust as I go, but the goal is to keep the zipper in there straight. So I'm going to make sure that it lines up at the end. I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of these clips out. Should be laying flat enough now, and make sure my zipper pull is not stuck anywhere. And then now that I'm getting close to the zipper pull, I can make sure my needle is down when I lift the presser foot to move it out of the way. And we can finish the box. I really like doing zipper pockets with overlays now. That's kind of what I've been like choosing to do mainly. The only reason I haven't been doing it on this, the 2 times I've made it, is I feel like having the recessed zipper here and everything, there wasn't really space. I think if the pocket was made a little bit smaller, it would work. I just feel like I don't do them as nice as the zipper overlays now, so maybe I just need to go back to that. All right, we're gonna take our other lining piece, match them up, and clip. We're gonna leave the bottom open. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to fold up here, and then I'll move this out of the way. I'm gonna open my zipper pocket now, but stitch the sides first. And then across the top here. And down the other side. And then what you can do here is fold this open like that and kind of pre-fold here. This is going to be the last thing we sew to close the bag. We need to find centers here on this panel and also this one. I was like, oh gosh, should I put that on upside down? Alright. Now I want this to be the back of my bag. I want all of my zippers to close the same way. So that's not right. This is how the zipper is going to close. And this is going to lay like so. So I'm going to line up the centers here. And you can base this on if you want. I'm going to go right into, okay, that one doesn't, must be, yep, this one. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and lay this on. So these are going right sides together. And then make sure that this lays flat as well. And we're going to stitch this at 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to fold this part up and top stitch on the top part. The space kitties are so cute with the stars. I love it. Okay, and then for the other side, we're going to do the same thing we just did. So both of these are right sides up. Line up the centers and clip. And then this one goes right side down. And I just line up the edges first. And then I lay it flat. And then 1/4 of an inch. And then fold up and top stitch through the seam allowance. Okay, to finish the lining, I'm going to fold my zipper tape in on my panels so it's out of the way. And then you're going to put these right sides together and match up the sides. Okay, and then we will stitch those sides together. Just checking the seam allowance. Pretty sure I know, but... Okay, so it does have you increase your seam allowance at the bottom. So after about the first inch, I'll go in. Then I'm just gonna flip this over so I can do the same thing. Start at the top and then go in. Yeah, and I'm going to trim down my seam allowance here. I'm gonna make a little cut here to be able to open that seam allowance for final assembly. I'm not going into this seam though. Okay. And then your seams are your centers. And then we can go ahead and find centers for the bottom. Oh, almost got it. I'm gonna mark that one. All right. Same way we put the base on for the exterior, but we're gonna leave a hole in this. I don't think I can turn the whole bag through here. Actually, I think we can. It's not too bad. We can go ahead and close this. If you want to leave the bottom open at all to turn the bag, you can do that, and then you can just pull it through the zipper pocket to close that. It's up to you. So lining base, when it's the same size as the exterior, it's a little bit harder to get this matched up without any puckers because we went in on our seam allowance here. We didn't do that on the exterior. So just keep that in mind. It's really hard to do the lining like completely perfect. And you don't have that base stabilizer there either to kind of use it to go off of. So I just try to do it as best I can. And I, try to remember too, like it is the absolute bottom of the inside of the bag. If someone's checking that, maybe my bag isn't the best for them. That's kind of all I can say. So yeah, I just do my best. All right, and then that's ready to be stitched closed. So we're just going to stitch this bottom on, and I'm gonna go with the regular seam allowance just so it doesn't pull up the bottom as far, since we did that recessed zipper and cut into the side panel seam allowance. Also make sure that your zipper pocket is out of the way. If you want to staple the bottom, you can do that too. I tend to just wing it when it comes to the lining. I know it sounds terrible, but if I thought it actually was like looking bad at the end, I wouldn't do it, but I really don't think you can tell. Okay, so see, there's one little pleat there, and then technically that looks like a pleat, but it isn't. It's just that seam, so it's fine. It does not look bad. I'm going to trim down some of this seam allowance though. But I'm not cutting into those side seams. All right, now we can flip the lining inside out. And you can keep those clips on the zipper if you want to make sure they stay out of the way. All right. Because I just thought of it, I'm going to do this really quick before I go any further. For my handle, I'm going to go ahead and punch my holes for my rivets. That way, as soon as we're done, I can finish this up. And this little tool for my rivet placement I got from Jolie Creations. I use it all the time. All the time. Okay. I'll have to punch on the connectors too, but I was like, that's looking at me. Okay. This is the front of my bag. Zipper going that way. So just like the other ones, I want my zippers all closing to the left. So I'm going to drop that in so that it closes to the left. And then we can start matching up. So you'll fold open the seam allowance. And I did not trim down the seam allowance here because I want that to stay open so that it folds nicely and everything for top stitching the bag at the end. And again, this is different a little bit than the pattern because the pattern has the zipper in this final seam. And then just go ahead and match up as you go. I did not mark my centers, but as long as everything fits nicely, you won't have a problem. So the seam allowance for this part would be a 1/2 inch. I'm going to go ahead and go with 3/8 just because we have that recessed zipper and I want to stay a little bit further away from it. Because we do still have that final top stitch too. Okay, so got that clipped. Now to sew it. And then when I'm on these connectors, I'm going to go ahead and backstitch. And you might need to use a hump jumper around them. Yeah, see? There's a little bit of bulk. Just use or take your time. I don't know what I was gonna say. Use your patience, maybe. So, like here, I should have like gotten here and then used like a hump jumper to get over that. Okay, and then you could use pinking shears technically, but I don't think the curve is enough to have to truly worry about that. Okay, now we are going to take and turn the bag through that zipper in the lining. So I'm just gonna work on popping that base in first. If I could just make bags without having to birth them at all, but also not making them all drop in linings. I guess this is probably my least favorite part. I don't know. It's fine. It's not even that bad. I just like to complain about it every time I do it. Okay. Truly, like, not that bad. Okay, so you're gonna want to make sure that you take the base and press it out nicely. Oh, it looks so good. Hi, Luna. Got another cat visitor. Yeah, that looks very nice. I'm glad that I fixed the one spot. I don't even actually know where it is. I think it was here or here, but you can't tell, and that is the goal. Okay, we can take these clips off now. Also, not a bad idea while this is still open to take and press these connectors up. Okay, because that is going to go down in there, and we are going to close up this zipper pocket. Okay, so I've got that folded flat nicely. I'm like, do I have enough thread to top stitch this bag? It's not curling yet, so I think I'm gonna risk it. Okay, and then I'm pushing the zipper down into the pocket. You can go ahead and close that, and then just continue pressing that in there. Oh boy, where'd that come from? Okay, now we are going to clip, like finger, like roll the seam with your fingers and make sure it looks nice. You can kind of do it so that the lining goes down just a touch and doesn't show from the outside as much. Another spot where you just kind of have to take your time, do it right, because it's gonna show in the end. And it probably seems like I'm using a lot of clips, but I just really like making sure it's where I want it. And then I like, after I've clipped, taking and making sure the lining is in there laying nice. And then I think I'm gonna check my bobbin and change my needle before I do the top stitch. Okay, I changed my needle. Thankfully checked the bobbin thread because we were not gonna make it. And I went ahead and punched the holes right here poorly. No, it's fine. For when we do rivets at the very end. So you could top stitch from the inside. I don't like doing that. Ideally, I would just go over to my cylinder arm and do the top stitch because I have one, so I love doing that. However, it's kind of blocked off right now. You can flip the bag completely inside out, or since this is pretty pliable, we can just go ahead and shift it as we go. So that's what I'm gonna do. You just have to make sure everything else is out of your way. Looks like maybe I should clip these guys back together so that they're not flying freely in the wind. I don't know. It's been a long day, I feel like. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to start on the back, somewhere in the print, since it is the variegated pastel. That way it'll kind of match. But I'm just going to, as I go, hold everything out of my way. And we are just doing like your standard top stitch, about 1/8 of an inch. Oh, I am going to go to about a 5 for my stitch length though. So again, just as you go, you're going to want to make sure that everything is flat and nothing that isn't the edge seam is getting caught. And I'm doing it from the top of the bag because generally that is where your stitches are going to look nicer. And here, before I go to this connector that is a bit more bulk, I'm going to use this as a little hump jumper. And then I'm just going to hand crank a couple of stitches to get past that. You could also, if you need, use like a scrap of vinyl or leather or whatever you like using to protect your vinyl if you think your foot is going to maybe chew it up. So, needle down if you need to lift the foot and adjust anything. Just remember to always have your needle down or you're going to lose your spot and things are going to shift. And again, you can flip the whole bag inside out and it's a little bit easier. I just don't like flipping the bag back and forth. So the fewer number of times I have to do that, the better. Okay, I'm at the connector again. So I'm gonna use a little hump jumper, and then I'm also hand cranking over these really thick seams a bit too. Okay, and then before I get back here, I'm gonna go ahead and trim my threads. Okay, so I'm going back down off of, oh, there it is. So I'm gonna, here, I'll take this and I'll put it under the foot, and it just helps protect my vinyl. Okay, so everything looks pretty good. Going to hit that with a little bit of heat and then make sure this is sitting in here nicely, and go ahead and put my zipper pull on. Again, I marked the side that I know needs to be first for this to line back up how I had it. And I'm going to struggle with it. Wouldn't be a normal video if I wasn't able to have to mess with the zipper a couple times. Okay, so the reason I didn't trim that immediately I'm so sorry, is I wanted to trim a little bit off. Okay, and then I'm gonna hit the zipper with some heat, and let's see if I have a zipper end. I have these cute little paws. Technically it is like matte rainbow. I don't have them, nor can I get them in regular, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use it. I also figured out you can take, when you're doing these zipper ends, and you can start it in there like it's just barely sticking through, and then that way you don't have to fidget with the zipper. Grab a little bit of double-sided tape, and I'm going to put it on the front and back of one side of the zipper tape. And then when I take the backing off, if I can get it. Okay. When I take the backing off, I'll fold this into the back first, and then fold the other side there, like so. And then slide this into the zipper end. And you want to make sure you go in as far as possible. And then finish that screw. You can put glue in here also if you think you need to do that. All right. So zipper end is on. Super cute. Okay, we just need to rivet on the handle and do the connectors. So I need 4 rivets. Wow. I love when I can just like place them on the table perfectly. That doesn't happen very often. Like, I promise. That's a little bit rare. Okay. And then these are gonna go in here. If I would have made the connectors shorter, I wouldn't have felt the need for this, but I actually like how it looks too. I think it's just a nice look, especially when the other side of the handle has rivets also. So you can pick, like, do you want this flat folded seam or the other seam facing the outside? If you have a preference, you can do that. But you're going to put the end in there. And then on the other side, and then I will set the rivets and it's done, but it is so cute. I love it so much. Oh, I love it. Thank you for hanging out with me while I sewed this bag. Let me know if you're going to try it. This is definitely one of those patterns I had for years, and I kept saying I was going to make it. And I don't know why I waited so long, because I'm going to be making a batch of them. If you have not already subscribed, I would love if you did, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.